Hi, y'all. Welcome to How to Build Our Own Schools for TikTok University and Hillman Talk University with Professor Iman Aline from Kind Academy, an amazing, very fast growing microschool network in the country. I'm super excited to get started. We are in class number 1, and today we're going to cover how liberatory schools impact student success, the business side of launching your microschool, how to start sharing your vision and gathering interest for your microschool, and writing your mission and vision statement, which is really going to be a very easy way for you to discuss with other people as you start talking about your microschool. So one of the big things that I like to talk about is first, whenever I'm teaching, I'm very action oriented. So I want you to leave with something by the end of this class. I feel like that really helps people to move forward in their dream of opening a microschool. Sometimes you just have to get it done. Sometimes you get stuck on one little thing. And if I can each class leave you with something to do, an action item with something in your hands, that makes you feel a little bit more inclined to feeling closer to your dream. So hopefully we can leave with your mission and vision statement at the end of this class today, or at least for homework, okay? But what happens when schools center joy, identity, and liberation? So our schools are very, very keen on making sure that we're centering really all of our learners, okay? We really like to make sure that they're seen in their environment. Representation matters. Culturally relevant teaching has been shown scientifically to boost engagement and academic success. I know I see this. One of the first things I teach in our classes are about Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa was the richest person from history. He was an African king from Mali. And whenever the kids see that, there's just something that like you immediately see a spark, like, oh my gosh, somebody who looks like me was one of the richest people in history. I like to teach that he was also not just the richest person in history, but he was also incredibly generous and kind, and that to them just really blows their mind that, you know, that they didn't come from enslavement. And I know I talk about that a lot. But when you start teaching people that they come from so much more, and when the other kids that see that are not of that same culture, when they see that, that helps them to be more respectful and engaging and inclusive to everybody else as well. There's studies that show Black students in Afrocentric schools outperform their peers in traditional schools in reading and math as well. So this is not just something I'm saying or something that I'm seeing. There's scientific studies that have been done on this. It also shows a stronger sense of identity and confidence. Seeing positive Black and brown representation in education builds pride and self-worth. I think we all know that, and we've all seen that. Black students who learn about Black inventors, African civilizations, and real-world change makers feel empowered and develop a stronger connection to their own history, which also they see the role models. They have people that they can look at and see as role models. Now, of course, we can see role models in anyone, but when your Black and brown students see role models that look like them, that is like an added boost. So that's another reason why I feel like it's so important to make sure that we're having representation. Better mental health. Traditional schools sometimes ignore racial trauma and emotional intelligence, focusing only on behavior control. They don't get to the root of what's going on. Liberation-centered schools teach healing, self-expression, and emotional resilience. If you don't already kind of have this as a part of what your model is going to be, I highly suggest you incorporate healing. We do a lot of holistic teaching, which is really teaching the whole learner. It's not just about academics, and that's why I say that so much. It's also about their mental health. It's what's going on up here. It's spiritual. What's going on? How can we connect? How can we become more in tune with what's going on inside of you, right? Journaling, meditation. Our key terms are kind to self, kind to each other, kind to the world. So the kind to self is really focusing on the holistic learning, which makes sure that we're able to kind of heal ourselves, and we really have a lot of magic inside of us is what we talk about a lot, okay? All right. All right. So that's kind of it for the why and what the benefits are, right? So the business side, this is usually the side that people are most nervous about when they come to me is I don't know what to do business side. Business side can be a little bit scary, but once you have it down and once it's done, it's kind of like things that you maintain, but it's out of the way. It's basically one of those things that like once you get past that point, everything else is fairly easy. Building a school is not the easiest thing in the world. So when I say easy, I mean like comparatively. But it's really just the reason that people are so afraid of it is because they just don't know it. So it's just a learning curve. But really the first thing you want to consider is decide if you want to be a nonprofit, a for-profit, or a hybrid model. So we are currently actually a hybrid model and thinking of shifting everything to nonprofit. The benefits of nonprofit is that you can take grants. What I have noticed happening a lot in the microschool world, especially when it comes to grants, is that people are starting to give grants even to for-profits. So you may not have to be a nonprofit. There's basically social impact for-profits, where it's like you're trying to do something positive, but you're running as a for-profit. Benefits of nonprofit, there generally is a lot more free grant funding. Benefit of for-profit, you can do a lot more like kind of like community crowd giving. You could do a lot more. You could do loans are a lot easier to access. Credit cards are easier to access. So things like that. Nonprofit, you do generally have to have a board, which means that you have to have people who are kind of like who it's not your business. You don't have as much control. Your board members usually will make decisions, especially when it comes to how much you're paid, things like that. It can be a little bit scary to run a nonprofit, but there are things that you can put founder's clause, things to kind of protect the vision that you have starting out. And a lot of times that makes people feel a lot better about it. Some people do hybrid where they have both running. The only thing that I see about hybrid that I'd like to talk about is that you are now running two different businesses. So just being comfortable with that. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time talking about funding your school, but really in the beginning, legal, getting your EIN, that's basically just a number from the federal that basically is like your identification number now. That's going to be on all your documents. Another thing I like to say is start a business bank account. You want to keep your business and your business and your personal money separate at this point. Like once you start your business, you really want to keep them separate. That is good business. That's good practice when it comes to your business. Okay. Researching zoning laws and licensing in your area. I talked about this a lot before. Super important in knowing. I still hear like, they told us that we can't be here. They shut us down after 3 years of being here. Things like that. Those are kind of horror stories. I would just be very careful about your zoning. Usually for zoning, I talk about like city. Start off with your city. What is allowed to happen out of your house? What's allowed to happen in this area in the city? I generally say get with the zoning or planning person. Usually you can call the city planning and ask them for a meeting, and they'll tell you like exactly where and what you can do in different areas. A lot of people decide to go with tutoring centers because those are a little bit less challenging to become versus a school. City planners generally have an idea that schools are like hundreds of kids and they're going to be all these hours, when microschools are usually a lot less kids and a lot less hours. So sometimes it's really more so considered a tutoring center. Some states actually now allow pods or specific homeschool co-ops to operate without formal approval, while others require registration. It will probably take speaking to your city zoning person and also speaking to your state people. So for Florida, we have the FDOE. If you want to be a private school, it's a little bit different than if you want to be a tutoring center. They don't even cover tutoring centers, okay? I'm not going to talk about funding right now, but I will in another video. But what I want you to leave with today is now it's time to start talking to people about what you're going to do. You do not need everything figured out. I'm about 10 years in and I still don't have everything figured out. There's still changes that I make, but the point is really to just get started. Whenever it comes to this kind of business, the idea is to really get started right away. Start sharing your idea, your values, and your vision with others, okay? I would create an interest group. If you're on Facebook, I loved creating, hey, homeschooling and microschooling in this city. Other people are going to come in and start kind of asking questions about homeschooling. If you're already a homeschooler, or if you're just starting your microschool, that is fine. But if you create this interest group, it's going to be cool because you're going to start seeing questions that you can start getting answers for, and other people will help answer them. And you also start building a community around that. So homeschooling, microschooling, for me, it's in South Florida. It might be something for me, for wherever you're at. Homeschooling, microschooling in Atlanta, Georgia, or whatever it is, if there's not already a group like that. If there is already a group, pop in there, start seeing what people are saying, and then maybe start your own group, okay? Let's talk about quickly, we got about another minute, your mission, vision, and values really quickly. Your mission is basically, I create a school that blank for blank audience by a unique method. So I create a school that impacts. What's the impact? I create a school that nurtures creativity for Black middle schoolers by using, so that's my audience is Black middle schoolers, by using a unique method, project-based learning and hands-on exploration. And I will share a template for you to be able to do this on your own as well. Our vision and vision statement formula. Our vision is to create a world where students feel seen, valued, and empowered. Our vision is to create a world where big goal, by how you'll do it, okay? So your vision is big goal and how you'll do it. And I'll copy and paste that into the comments so you can copy and paste it and create your own, okay? So that is pretty much it for your homework. Please post your vision and mission statements in the comments. Social media, you can post I'm starting a school because, or you can start your interest group, and please engage with at least 2 other posts in our comments.